The searing kiss of a smoking six-gun barrel ground into Leela Hart's lower back, reeking of the fresh slaughter it had unleashed in the unforgiving Dakota prairies. The cold steel bit through her thin calico dress, a grim reminder that death had just danced nearby. And now it was her turn to face the music. Outside, the blizzard howled like a pack of rabid wolves, whipping snow against the sod walls of her isolated claim shack. Inside, the air hung thick with the coppery tang of blood, dripping steadily from the stranger's wound onto her hard-packed earthen floor. She didn't scream, didn't beg. Leela Hart had faced down worse than a wounded desperado in her 5 years of scratching out a living. On this god-forsaken patch of land, her husband, Jonah, had been trampled to dust in a cattle stampede, leaving her with nothing but echoes and endless winters. Now, this intruder, his breath hot and ragged against her neck, threatened to upend the fragile peace she, deforged from solitude. "Keep your eyes front," he snarled, his voice cracking like dry timber under boot heels, worn thin by exhaustion rather than cruelty. "And stifle that scream, or you're foul messing my hearth with your bleeding." Leela cut in, her tone as steady as the North Star, though her flour-dusted rolling pin trembled in her grip. She wasn't about to let some half-dead outlaw dictate her fate. Not here, in the heart of her domain. The man faltered, the pressure of the gun easing just a fraction. In that moment, Lila's mind raced images of Jonah's mangled body flashing before her, the way she buried him alone under a cottonwood tree, vowing never to let another soul close enough to break her again. But this stranger's pain mirrored her own, a raw wound that refused to heal. He was Cole Rourke, though she wouldn't learn that until later. A 27-year-old ghost haunting wanted posters across 6 territories, with a $900 bounty nailed to his name, dead or alive. He'd gunned down a rustler in Abilene who tried to steal his last dollar, sparking a chain of bad luck that led him here. Gut shot and bleeding out after a botched stagecoach heist gone south. The posse had winged him bad, but Cole's Mustang had carried him through the storm to this lone light on the horizon. Turned slow, he finally rasped, the gun wavering as weakness clawed at him. Leila pivoted, her hazel eyes locking onto his storm-tossed gaze. He was younger than she'd expected, his boyish face crusted with alkali dust and pain lines etched deep. His side was a ragged mess, the bullet lodged in flesh, crimson soaking his fringed buckskin coat. "Park it," she decreed, pointing to the old rocker by the fire, her voice laced with the iron resolve that had kept her alive through blizzards and barren harvests. Cole squinted through the haze of agony. "Say what?" "Sit for you timber over," planning to cash out vertical in a strange woman's digs. He sagged into the chair like a puppet with cut strings, the 6-gun clattering to the floor, untouched by either of them. Lila's heart pounded not from fear, but from the strange pull of recognition. This man was broken, just like her, a wanderer in a world that chewed up the weak and spat out the bones. She moved with the efficiency of a woman who doctored livestock and mended her own wounds. Kindling the hob to boil water, she exhumed Jonah's moth-eaten rye flask from the back of the cupboard, its amber liquid untouched since his passing, tearing homespun cloth into ligatures. She thought of the barbed wire gashed heifer she'd passed last spring. Man's meat wasn't so different, after all. As the riot's firebrand bite scorched the raw flesh, Cole yanked a guttural choke, his frame arching like a bowstring under strain. Rivulets of anguish beaded on his brow, and in that instant, Leela felt the long-buried glow ignite within her. Not pity's soft flicker, but the savage twin of her own solitude, a shared exile that whispered of possibilities she'd long denied. "What drives you to patch a devil like me?" he rasped, eyes searching hers as she cinched the knot tight. "Search me," Leela replied, but the truth whispered deeper, the lure of another soul as adrift as her own. A chance to mend more than just flesh. She stashed him in the root cellar, a stark hole dug into the earth, lined with sacking and lit by a flickering lantern. Jonah's spectral toil lingered in the frost-cracked walls, tools rusting where he'd left them. Leila provisioned him with cornbread slabs and poultice renewals. Her queries chained silent to avoid stirring ghosts. From dawn to through 4, murmurs were scarce. Cole thrashed in fever phantoms, reliving the heist where his partner turned traitor, selling him out for a cut of the gold. Leila materialized ethereal, a shadow slipping in with broth and fresh wrappings, her mind churning with unspoken questions. Who was this man who crashed into her life like a prairie twister? And why did his vulnerability stir something she thought dead? On dawn 5, the fracture came. She unearthed him lurching erect, rafter gripped, his waxen face set with willful determination despite the pain. What fresh folly. She clipped, arms crossed against the chill. My Mustang needs a once-over. He grunted, swaying. Ponies grazed and watered. Drop or you'll shred those gutsus. Cole subsided onto the pallet, frustration etching his features. Despise this crippling. Join the club. Lila unloaded a plate of flapjacks and chicory coffee. But the trail don't always trot gentle. As they shared the meager meal, his gaze drilled true into her etching furrows from endless prairie stairs, her russet mane laced with silver from grief's relentless grind, her carriage that of a dame who'd hammered hope from heartache's anvil. Cole saw beyond the tough exterior, a woman who'd been sacrificed on the altar of frontier hardship, yet refused to break. "Span since your Jonah scattered to dust?" he asked, his voice softening for the first time. "5 cycles," she replied, staring into the lantern's flame. "No fresh vows?" Lila's bark laugh came jagged, laced with bitterness. Who'd yoke to a fruitless ghost with a dust-choked homestead, and a mouth that runs freer than the Platte River? She decanted more chicory, the steam curling like unspoken dreams. "Ain't been scouting suitors neither." A veiled prod dangled in the air between them. Were the sands shifting now? Lila felt it a tentative pull toward this outlaw, his eyes holding a mirror to her own loneliness. But she pushed it down, retreating to the shack above, where the blizzard still raged, mirroring the storm in her heart. By Eve 7, Cole prowled unassisted to the windbreak corral, wheedling his paint pony's coat with a reverence that thawed the outlaw husk around his soul. The horse nickered softly, a loyal companion in a life of fleeting alliances, prime stock. Lela remarked from the lean-to doorway, her breath fogging in the crisp air. Cole angled his head up, a faint smile cracking his guarded facade. "Weaned him on roundup scraps, bartered my last silver from a Comanche trader down in Texas." His knuckles grazed the withers tenderly. Lone anchor no badge can yank free. Lila absorbed that feral tether amid the turmoil's tide, her own life flashing before her, the barren field she toiled alone, the night staring at Jonah's empty side of the bed, wondering if love was just another mirage on the horizon, life pre the rope's noose. She ventured, stepping closer, airdropping a rustler in Abilene who aimed to fleece me blind, pushed doggies across endless plains, gentle cayuses that had bucked the devil himself. Canvas sky my roof more than any timber shanty, his breath caught, vulnerability peeking through. Roots never took hold. Why the wonder? No claim ever craved my brand. The words hung heavy, echoing Lila's own cast-off script. Jonah had hitched her for hearth help, not the hearth flame that could warm a soul through winter's bite. His void had grieved the rupture of routine over the roar of true romance, leaving her a shadow of the vibrant woman she'd once been. "Unpack him," Cole urged, his voice velvet soft now, inviting her to bear the scars. "You're Jonah." Reeled by the intimacy, she braced on the corral rail, the wood rough under her palms. Bull-strong fella, chased vein gold in the Black Hills, dragged home stinking of quartz quake and that quenchless thirst for fortune that never panned out. Words were weeds between us. Fair enough soul, but adrift even fork deep in beans at supper. His skull roved untamed trails I couldn't follow. Cole leaned closer, the scent of horse and man mingling with the piney wind. Heart his? She hesitated, the question piercing like a thorn. Fancied it so. Or maybe I just loathed the silence of scream echoing off these walls. His fate unveiled, I'd been ghosting unpaired from the get-go, sacrificed to this land's greed. In that confession, a bridge formed 2 souls adrift, finding harbor in shared pain. But the world outside conspired to test them. Enter Silas McCree, the grizzled neighbor from the next claim over. A widower himself with a penchant for tall tales and a shotgun he called Old Betsy. He'd ridden through the storm to check on Lila, his weathered face creased with concern under a battered Stetson. "Lila, gal, you holding up in this white hell?" Silas hollered from his mule, dismounting with a groan. Her heart skipped Cole hidden below. But danger lurked if Silas sniffed trouble. Fine as frog hair. "Silas, coffee?" He stomped snow from his boots, eyes sharp as a hawk's. Heard tell of outlaws ridden these parts. Posse lost one in the blow. "You seen anything suspicious?" Lila's mind raced, the push-pull of loyalty to her kinfolk clashing with the budding protectiveness for Cole. Just the wind and wolves. Silas, coming out of the cold, as they sat by the fire. Silas spun yarns of his youth driving cattle up the Chisholm Trail, dodging Comanches and losing his wife to cholera. His